Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I've got a very special video for you today because I'm going to actually draw the curtain a little bit and show you the inner workings, the sausage factory that is WhatCulture.com a little bit for you today, because usually we have a big pool of ideas that we all discuss between each other and find out who's the best fit for which, and unanimously every single person pointed in unison when the title for this dropped into the pool. 10 video games that were massive jokes. And yours truly was the person selected to be the presenter. What does that say? What does that say? Literally, what does that say? Am I God's little punchline? Apparently so. But anyway, I'm here for a right laugh, and hopefully I'll give you a giggle or two, not 3. That's too much. Don't want you to spoil your dinner. Today, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games that were massive jokes. Number 10, Frog Fractions. So based on the name alone, what do you think that Frog Fractions is going to be about? It's probably going to be about maths, the fun maths, and also amphibians, right? Well, apparently you're wrong. You see, the only common denominator between Jim Crawford's ineffable amphibian arithmetic up and its prosaic classroom equivalents is that it's of virtually zero educational value. What begins as a run-of-the-mill browser teaching software about a frog and his sums soon devolves into a surreal journey through every genre imaginable. There's a text adventure to guide a spaceship back from Bug Mars, a rhythm action segment as the frog Hop attempts to become president, and a business sim which sees you flogging bug porn. Or should that be frog spawn, you know? What I'm saying? I'm having a little toke of the old joke pipe here. It's not even lit. Pretty much every video game convention you can think of is ridiculed in some way. There may be no fractions, but it's wholly unforgettable and also indescribable. Number 9, sensible train spotting. Right, before you play this game, you're going to need to do a little bit of a checklist right now. Do you have your thermos? Do you have your corn plasters? Do you have your binoculars and your anorak? Well, stuff them all in your many, many pockets, zip them up, and head down to the train station because now you are finally ready to play the game of all games, Sensible Train Spotter. Only available as an Amiga Power cover disc, this sim is as sedate as they come, involving nothing more than ticking off serial numbers as each engine comes into view. Fill a card and move on to the next one. That is it, my sad friend. And by the way, I'm not insulting you here. That's what the game says. My sad friend. Damn, I wish I'd used that as an emo band name back in the day. It all might seem a bit silly, but things got pretty serious for Sensible when in 2003 Demon Star began marketing their own rail-tallying fare, Train Tracking, as the world's first train-spotting game, with gameplay virtually identical to the Amiga effort. The former designer Stu Campbell made the rival product freely available to download from his website, challenging Demon Star to take them to court. Don't you just love that? For 2 video games that have such, let's face it, very, very boring premises, that's a pretty exciting outcome. I'm here for Train Spotting Simulator. Number 8, Super High-Res Chess. Now, you're going to have to hold your horses right now. Pull the reins on it really, really hard, because I know that some people out there really do like a good chess game. There's actually one battle chess that I actually really like, where you get really gory animations when the people take each other, just lop somebody's head off. It's quite brutal. Quite enjoy that. But this isn't actually a chess game. This is, as the title suggests, a massive, massive joke. You see, that's because the 1978 application Super High-Res Chess was a complete fabrication. It sounded too good to be true for early adopters of Apple's newfangled hardware, and it was. Opening the phony program would crash the system, parodying the computer's command line processor with an array of sarcastic comments directed at the user. At no point would chess actually appear, high fidelity or otherwise, meaning that the ultimate goal was to actually escape this syntax error hell. Piecing together the clues from the command line would eventually reveal the safe word egress. But here's the best part. When Steve Jobs came along and tried it for himself and presumably got incredibly frustrated that he couldn't figure out how to get out of it, he said that no more work shall be done on this application. So the designer of this game spent the next 2 months perfecting it. Take that, Steve! Number 7, I'm Sorry. Now, I'm not going to lie, the premise for I'm Sorry is absolutely brilliant, but unfortunately, it's airing very close to real life at the moment, and I'll explain why. Because you see, in this game, you play a disgraced politician who basically just goes around telling people that he's sorry, and eventually they forget and forgive. And we're doing that a lot in our real world as well. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on that we're just like, oh, he said he's sorry, guess he won't do it again. The damage has been done, the cities are still on fire. But it's fine because he said he's sorry. Cool, right, moving on. This is precisely the sort of political freedom which led to Sega's 1985 hit I'm Sorry, in which you take up the role of disgraced former Japanese PM Kakui Tanaka, whose indictment in the Lockheed bribery scandal led to his complete political downfall prior to the game's release. Now, the aim here is to gather as many gold bars as possible, a not-so-subtle dig at Tanaka's avarice, whilst avoiding bizarre enemies including Madonna, Giant Baba, and Michael Jackson. Capturing both the public spirit and the enduring craze for Pac-Man-like maze games, I'm Sorry was actually something of a success in tabletop coin-op bars across Japan. Oddly enough, you could actually get this in the US market as well, actually furthering the popularity, but don't worry, he was still quite a way off of replacing Sonic as Sega's mascot. But only just. Number 6, Microshaft Wind Blows 98. So, as we all know, back in the 90s, everyone was awash with Windows. Windows were being washed and polished because it was pretty much everywhere. It hit the market hard and never relented. But here's the thing, there obviously are going to be some people that dislike the change of having to get their new updates installed or change over to a new operating software, or just don't like Windows as a whole. And so, of course, a parody video game immediately came out, and it has possibly the best and worst, laziest title ever, Wind Blows Microshaft. It's just, that's so good it's bad, or so bad it's good I can't decide. The timing of this satire couldn't have been more pointed. Just as the game was shipped, Gates was summoned before the US court for Microsoft's extensive monopoly-ensuring antitrust practices. Now, the jokes within the game are not quite as pointed as they might think, because it's basically just a lampoon of the operating system, presented by a Microsoft janitor and Gates' personal assistant, with a number of mini-games in the guise of parody programs, including Internet Exploiter and Pinbill. Microsoft, at the very least, saw the funny side, with spokesperson Mark Murray noting that his company's software was probably a little more serious than this. Number 5, Pissed. Now, if you've ever played the wondrous game Myst, then you'll have your interest piqued by Pissed, which is basically just a parody version of it, which centers around one joke in particular. You know, when you're going through Myst and you look around at all the pre-rendered backgrounds, you're like, this is absolutely beautiful. How has it maintained this beauty when there's so many day travelers, merchants and stuff walking around? Well, Pissed seems to answer that question by showing tons of trash absolutely everywhere, everyone's a lout, and everyone is out to rob you. The buildings here are in tatters, with graffiti revealing solutions to the world's arcane puzzles, because why would you keep them to yourself? And presiding over this world wonder turned tourist trap is King Mattress, portrayed by a shirtless John Goodman no less. Driven, the sequel to Pissed, was also in the pipeline, but the developer's new parent group, The Learning Company, deemed it a joke too far and dissolved the entire satirical division before it annoyed Myst fans even further. Number 4, Say GAGA. Now get this is a really fascinating game. I know that it's an absolute joke, but it actually predicted the downfall of Sega 2 years before it actually happened, and was made by one of their employees. That's right, Tez Okano did, without his employer's knowledge, build Say GAGA, a truly astonishing JRPG in which you're tasked with raising the eponymous software house's fortunes in the face of overwhelming competition from other electronics giants. Sound familiar? Along the way, obscure and forgotten faces of Sega's rich history make cameos, amongst them Saturn flogging Segata Sanshiro and displaced mascot Alex Kidd, who has now fallen on hard times. When Okano presented his secret project, Sega thought it was a joke, providing him with just $200 to promote the game. Now, if I was given $200 to promote my video game, I'd be a bit insulted to begin with, but you know what he did instead? He spent half of that money on a wrestling mask. The sad displacement of the esteemed company it described was anything but funny. Parody it may be, but Say GAGA is as good a lasting testament to Sega's unique, dearly missed charm as any of their other serious titles. Number 3, 3 out of 10. Now, 3 out of 10 is a relatively recent, at least compared to the rest of the entries on this list, video game into the kind of satirical parody video game market. But it's actually one that hits very close to home, because some of the problems it details here, they're anything but funny. A playable sitcom, the episodic title follows the daily grind at a fictional game studio called Shovelworks. Its employees forced to toil on trend-chasing garbage that has no hope of troubling Metacritic's upper echelons, hence the name. The first episode focuses on new animator Midge Potter, whose dream job isn't quite what she expected, drawing sharks every day for an endless runner which, uniquely, has an end. It's mighty close to the bone then, but some real industry giants may need to sit up and take notice of Terrible Posture's barbic satire. We just hope with all the stones they're throwing that their own software house isn't made of glass. Number 2, Takeshis Challenge. So, revered video game publication Famitsu has a special ranking that it only doles out very, very occasionally. And that is, and I'm going to read it out because I'm going to mispronounce it, Kosogi. Is that how you pronounce it? I want to say that that's how you pronounce it, which basically translates to shit game. Takeshi's Challenge is a shit game. But were they really expecting anything other than a grueling gauntlet from the Count of Takeshi's castle? Yes, the very same man. I mean, on the face of it, it's a relatively simple premise, an adventure that sees you take the role of a salaryman as he seeks the treasures of the South Sea. But in practice, it is absolute torture. The arduous task involves, but is not limited to, quitting your job, divorcing your wife, and singing actual karaoke, courtesy of the Famicom's mic, with only a pitch-perfect performance being good enough to actually progress. At one point, you have to leave the controller untouched for an entire hour to uncover a map. This true test of players' patience pretty much epitomizes the whole philosophy of the game. And the best part of all of this is a video game that was designed with utter contempt for video gamers. That is what the designer said. He just said, I don't really like the medium, so here's a game basically expressing all of the worst parts of it. Cheers, mate. And number 1, Desert Bus. I don't really know how to say anything about this game. Is it even a game? You drive a bus that constantly drifts off the road if you don't have a slight alteration to the direction of the wheel. And you have to drive it for 8 hours. And then you get there to your destination, and you've got to drive back. 8 hours. Each way. The only thing that happens of note the entire time is that 5 hours in, a bug hits your windscreen. That's it. That is the joke. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video games that were massive jokes. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And if you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, as well as my Warhammer Battle Reports. There's always something on the painting table over there at the moment, so it'd be great to see you over there, my friends. But before you go, I just want to say one thing. You, yes, you listening to this video, you are not a joke. You are anything but. You are a massive ledge, and you deserve all of the best things in life. Do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? Go out there and absolutely smash it, and never play Desert Bus. That is 16 hours of your life you're not getting back. Big love to you, my friend. Take care of yourself. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.